We're entering a new sermon series in the book of Ezekiel. And in preparation for this series, I was reading a lot of commentaries, and several scholars and preachers say that this may be the most difficult book to preach on. First of all, it's downright depressing through much of the book. We find the people of God defeated by the Babylonians, living in exile, drowning in sin and idolatry. There's a lot of heavy criticism, chapter after chapter of God's prophet calling out sin, vividly depicting the devastating outcome of a people who are in rebellion against God. But we are still excited for the series because what God says to this people in this book is incredibly relevant to our world today. And most importantly, there is tremendous hope that we find here. The series title is From Ruin to Renewal, the Gospel in Ezekiel. There is immense hope in the midst of brokenness, a promise of salvation, redemption, and complete restoration. Truly, God is taking a people living in ruins and bringing us into renewal. There is good news, gospel in the book of Ezekiel. You may remember some iconic imagery we find in this book, like the dry bones being raised to life in chapter 37, and the Ruach, breath and wind of God, breathing new life into the valley of the dry bones. And how about the living water that flows from the temple to flow through the land to give life wherever it goes in chapter 47. God promises to give us a new heart and put a new spirit within us. He will take away our heart of stone and give us a heart of flesh and cause us to walk in His statutes, to be careful to obey His rules. He will do this work by His Spirit, by His wind and His breath. The entirety of this book, the book of Ezekiel, is like a giant signpost pointing towards Jesus, the coming Messiah, who will bring this promise to fulfillment. And for those of us who live on this side of the cross of Jesus, it highlights God's faithfulness. This is a beautiful story, a brutally honest but life-giving message that we need to hear today. I'm excited for it. I hope you are too.